Going Low in CSGO is my flagship series, and yet it becomes more difficult to make with every episode. I am constantly trying to better the quality and content, and with it I've shot myself in the foot by having raised the bar so high. Each time I release an episode, I look to the next and worry that it's not going to be of the same high quality. Back with seasons 1 and 2, it wasn't exactly too much of a problem. They only took a few hours to make, and it was easy to spend some extra attention on a part of it to make it feel special. But now, every clip takes enormous amounts of time to plan, capture and edit together. The slightest editing mistake and it'll tarnish the video for me. It'll be the bit of the video I wince at every time I watch the episode. And yet, despite the amount of time and stress it puts me under, once an episode is released, I'm generally very proud of my creation. It's something that I will happily look back on in years to come, and will likely be the thing that 2kliksphilip will be remembered for. Let's take a look at Friends, the latest and penultimate instalment of season 3. It's the second silent episode. This was intentional since I look back fondly at the Crazy Knife Dude one set on Inferno and wanted to attempt the same sort of style again. Some fun facts: the beginning and the end of the video show the 3D skybox, and I included this because I thought it looked a bit like a face, which is a creepy running joke in this video itself. I've only just realised how similar the intro is to the old Doctor Who intros that I used to watch as a child, in particular those from the Tom Baker era. I'm sure I must have been influenced by them without knowing. The following nuke clips are done in a similar style to CSGO's trailer, only an hour before, so I could use the 420 joke and have a hut full of smoke, which I don't think anybody has noticed so far. The guy breathing into the gas mask is a reference back to the Crazy Knife Dude video. The intro song changes with every episode as I add things to it. The song was never finished. It was meant to be for a game I was making that was very much like Deus Ex. This episode I added a weird flangey bit and also introduced another song that I've made, which I think will appear more in the 4th season of Going Low. The last thing I want is for the series to get stale, which is why each episode of season 3 has been so different. I think that a lot of series fail because the standards are too high from the word go. By slowly adding more to it in later episodes, I've been able to keep it going. In this episode I've been experimenting with motion blur. I recorded a fair bit of it at quarter speed and then sped it up, which causes a very nice smooth effect, particularly on the intro of the video. It'll probably be too much hassle for me to apply to an entire episode, but I'll use it from now on when there is a particularly dramatic scene. Nuke was also the penultimate episode of season 2, which remains the most controversial episode of the entire series. See, English teachers? I can add lots of stupid and possibly unintentional details to my movies as well. The game itself was played about a year ago, and I immediately had an idea for the video. It was originally going to be one of those flashback things in the middle of an episode, quickly telling the tale of forbidden weapon giving to the other team, but I wanted to do it properly and eventually settled on dedicating an entire episode to it. The antics outside were pretty much as I had imagined them to be, but the bit leading up to that moment became longer and the blocking at T's side was added last minute. Yup, added last minute. You have no idea how much trouble that bit of the video was, since in a way, I cheated. I'd like to emphasise that Going Low in CSGO isn't scripted. That's why it gets so much hate. And yet, at the same time, if it was fake then there wouldn't be much point in the series, would there? This is why I'm so careful to include footage from the match in question as much as possible. There have only been 2 videos where I've added scripted scenes, and those 2 are the ones where I don't talk. These bits come up out of necessity during the making of the video, since otherwise it's incredibly difficult to tell a story without words. The scripted scenes make the episode flow better and make more sense. With the Crazy Knife Dude, the bit at the beginning at spawn is scripted since you can't attack with a knife before the round starts. That's acceptable, isn't it? The other bit is after Crazy Knife Dude dies and the bomb is planted. But that doesn't really matter either, since it's not the focus of the video. It simply concludes it in a stylistic way and lets me use some pretty camera flybys, which is something I love to do. With this latest episode, it's a bit more controversial. For a start, the intro is scripted. It had to be. It served as a dramatic beginning to the video and shows pretty much everything that can go wrong on a team. I've had this idea for a while and saw this as an opportunity to use it for something. Once again, I guess that it's kind of okay since it could have all been done in a competitive match with friends, since it doesn't include the enemies at all. Still, it's a bit more of a grey area than the previous examples. Which brings me to the blocking at T spawn. This did happen for real. This footage that you can see here is from a competitive match. It's just not the same match as the one shown in the video. Unfortunately, I was a different character model and it would have caused confusion if it had been included in Going Low. So instead, I staged it in order to make it look less fake. And with it, I have managed to anger everyone. Those who don't like it because I'm griefing my team, while also those who want it to be real and feel cheated when they know it's fake. I haven't tried to hide this fact either. The camera pans are clearly from a smoothed video, which is something you can't do from a match recording. Do I regret doing these things? Not at all. Going Low is some weird hybrid of different things and I felt it was a priority to tell the story, rather than to remain an accurate account of what happened during the match. As I said earlier, with the bar raised so high I had no choice but to push the truth a bit. The majority of the video was done in the match. The scores were real, the action between the teams is real, even the attempt at kicking me at the end was real, though it didn't succeed because some of my teammates seemed to understand what I was doing and weren't against it. In other words, I didn't annoy the people in the match as much as it seems I did in the video. The beautiful enemy Butt Stallion was a lifesaver. He quickly cottoned on to what I was doing and didn't shoot me, but as always there were a few who wanted me dead and were all too happy to ruin my efforts. But then again, if they let me do it, would it really be a proper episode of Going Low? As I always point out in my analysis videos, it's the series that keeps my kliksphilip channel alive, despite receiving so many dislikes and hateful comments. It directly goes against my reputation on my other channels. And it's not as though I went out of my way to upset people when making it. It was simply a byproduct of my aim to go low. And despite how it seems, I have changed how I do it. I play with friends to avoid upsetting my team and don't intentionally abuse my lower rank against lesser skilled players. The problem is that all of the footage was recorded before the series became controversial and everybody started smurfing and destroying lower skilled games. I had no idea that this would be the consequence of my series. As I said, this match was recorded about a year ago and has been sitting on my PC since. Should I throw it away because it's become controversial with time? What's done is done. I can only change my actions going forward. And there you have it, an inside look into my most controversial series. And I can't change that. It's destined to be hated by a lot of people, regardless of what I do with it. But I accept that. For now, I'm pleased to have a series that a lot of people do seem to love, and it's one where I can be the film director that I've always wanted to be. Welcome to Going Low in CSGO.